Let's settle this. Just you and me, brother. The showdown that was always meant to be. Agni Kai!
You're on.
What makes a good fight scene in a show? Is it the skill of the combatants, the animation style, the scale of the powers used in the fights? There is an argument to be made for all of those things. But to me, the thing that makes a fight in a show, or even a fight in general, special, is the stakes. Meaning the reason for the fight even happening in the first place. Most UFC or even boxing matches wouldn't be what they are if it wasn't for the stakes. Let's be honest. Of any sports fan watching, only about 20% of them are there for the pure art and enjoyment of the actual fight. The rest of us are simply there because we want to see these two people throw hands, because of the drama and mythology surrounding the fight itself. Two undefeated fighters going against each other, an underdog versus a Goliath, a fighter who has won so much that he is now hated for his success and everyone wants to see him lose, or a rivalry that is so intense that it is spread across multiple martial arts disciplines. The different storylines for why fights entice viewers are numerous, and when it comes to fights in anime, it gets even more dramatic and intense, especially since the stakes are built over a longer period of time. Two classmates going at it, the bully and the most improved fighter, a master and his old student clashing after not seeing each other for years, or a banished prince fighting his sister in an attempt to desperately restore his honor. The stakes, to me, are what make or break a fight scene. Besides them, there are two other factors that are important. These being the actual fight itself and the aftermath or conclusion to the bout. This video will cover all three of these factors and answer the question of whether or not the Final Agni Kai, a fight well beloved by Avatar fans, was in fact better than the final fight between Ozai and Aang or not. If you like my content and would like to see more, please consider subscribing. This is Cartoon Hub, and this is the Final Agni Kai, one jewel to rule them all. Alright, let's get into the stakes. So we all know the story. After being an absolute menace to society, Azula is set on destroying the Earth Kingdom continent with her father. As she arrives for the departure, her father tells her that she will not be joining him. She protests, but after silencing her, she is told that she will be the next Fire Lord, and that is why she must stay in the homeland. This is something that most would consider good news, especially since her coronation would be the same day. But for Azula, all this felt like was abandonment. You see, to understand Azula's unraveling, we should briefly touch on her psychology. Throughout the series, there really only is one word that can be used to describe Princess Azula, as a fighter, a character, and even a person, and that word is flawless. Azula's core mentality is centered around precision, not a hair out of place, even in combat. This is a girl who at the age of 15 mastered lightning bending, took over the Dai Li from within the organization, and successfully infiltrated and conquered Ba Sing Se, the most impregnable city in the entire Earth Kingdom. And she really did do all of this without ever even messing her hair up. Azula uses blue flames instead of the usual red. Her blue flames are that color because the heat is concentrated and more focused. She tends to prefer smaller, more precise blasts of fire, as opposed to the typical ferocious big blasts. And she has been seen to use fire in much more creative, even ingenious ways. Couple that with her incredible intellect and talent for manipulation, and you have the perfect soldier, spy, princess, whatever you want to call her. The downside of this is that she is a character with no empathy, no compassion.
Your arms look so strong.
Yeah, I know.
Together, you and I will be the strongest couple in the entire world. We will dominate the Earth!
Her own mother thought she was a monster. Due to never having formed any real emotional connections throughout her life, and being brainwashed by the Fire Nation, the only person Azula felt any sort of real connection to was her father, Ozai. It's an interesting connection because I wouldn't say that it's love that bonds them. I would say that it's fear. Simply put, Ozai is the only person that is a bigger menace to society than Azula is. He's the only person more ferocious and ruthless than she is, and so she follows him for that reason. But when he tells her that he doesn't want her to conquer the Earth Kingdom with him, it feels like betrayal to her. Everything she's done to serve him. Manipulating her friends, ruthlessly attacking her brother, using every psychological trick under the sun to achieve her goal. All of it done for Ozai. All of it done for her father, the one person who she feels some sort of connection to. This betrayal from Ozai feels like abandonment. And when you couple that with the fact that Mei and Ty Lee, her only two friends, betrayed her at the Black Rock prison, Azula is left desolate and alone. This causes her to not trust anyone, assuming that at some point everyone will betray her and leave her all alone. She begins to see visions of her mother, the one person whose love could save her from her pain. But this only drives her more insane. She cuts off her perfect hair, making it look uneven and messy, and breaks her own mirror. In a way, this scene is poetic, because we finally get to see the monster within her that has been hidden underneath the flawless excellence. And right at her lowest moment, when she is about to be crowned alone, the one person on Earth who could make it worse shows up. Her big brother, Prince Zuko. Zuko has always had a big heart, but his temper and anger issues have always put him in situations that he honestly could have avoided. It's not that he lacked talent, it's just that he never had the patience to work on and cultivate the talents that he does have. It took 3 seasons of his plans essentially blowing up in his face for him to realize that restoring his honor and coming home wasn't what he wanted. After realizing this, he proceeds to go on one of the greatest redemption arcs in animation history. A redemption arc that reaches its climax when he has to duel his sister, the person who has always been one step ahead of him his entire life. Now that the stakes are beautifully set, we set the stage for one of the greatest fights in the entire show. The fight begins with Azula throwing the first attack, and for the first time, maybe ever, Zuko starts by blocking and playing defense. It was very evident to see that Zuko's travels abroad and his discovery of the true source of firebending had changed him. He showed how all 4 of the elements had influenced his fighting style, like when he used an earthbending stance to block Azula's attack. Or when he used an airbending move to stop Azula from circling around him. Azula, on the other hand, had completely lost her usual fighting style. Her attacks were not precise or meaningful, but sloppy and aggressive. She attacked without thinking about it, and got easily frustrated at her mistakes. It's almost as if her and Zuko traded places during this fight. Despite how the fight ended, I'm sure we can all agree that Zuko won, and that if it hadn't been for Azula attacking Katara, knowing that Zuko would intervene, Zuko would have easily redirected the lightning attack, perhaps even using the redirection to kill Azula. The Agni Kai concludes Zuko's redemption arc, and also concludes Azula's downfall, with one sibling standing triumphant and strong, while the other screams and cries in chains. The beauty of this fight is the fact that Katara, the one character who was reluctant to forgive Zuko, was there by his side, at what might be his proudest moment of the show. The tragedy of the Agni Kai was seeing these 2 siblings, who are bound by blood, walk past that pushed them so far away from each other. So was the final Agni Kai better than Aang's fight with Ozai? Comment down below.